All right, so this is our video for 10.1. We're starting chapter 10, which is geometry. So let's get a whiteboard going here. So this is math. Okay. All right, so section 10.1 deals with lines, angles, planes, and points. Okay, so it's just going to be basically some definitions. Okay, so a point is just a small dot that represents a place in space. Okay. And then we have a line, and a line is going to be connecting 2 points along the shortest path. So we're just taking 2 points and connecting them together. So just as an example, that would be a point. A line would be, here's a point, here's a point. We are connecting those 2 points together. Okay, that would be a line. Half line is just what it sounds like. Is where you only have 1 point. Half line. The definition they do have is any point on the line that divides the line into 3 parts, or 2 half lines. So you have an open circle at one end and the arrow at the other end. That would be a half line. And a ray is a half line with its endpoint included. Okay, so let me draw examples of these. So your half line would be a circle here and then just an arrow. Okay, and here is your second point. Okay, so you have 2 points, but one of them is not really included. Whereas in a ray, you have a point and you have another point, and you're going to connect them together. But your arrow is only going to be on one end. Okay, so notice the difference between a ray and a line. A line has the 2 arrows on either end, the double arrows, but a ray only has 1. Okay, and then a line segment. That's kind of the other term we're going to use in here. A line segment. And a line segment is where you do not have the arrows, you just have the 2 endpoints. Okay, so it's a portion of a line joining 2 points, and it includes the endpoints. Okay, so your line segment would be like, here's a point, here's a point, and we connect those 2 points together. That's a line segment. Okay. All right, so let's look at angles now. So an angle is formed by the union of 2 rays that have a common endpoint. That's not how you spell common. Okay. All right, so we represent an angle. So we have a common endpoint. So there's one ray. Here is another ray. And they have that common endpoint. So that's our angle. And we represent our angle with that symbol. Okay, so that's the symbol for an angle. One side is called the initial side, the other side is called the terminal side. All right, so measuring angles. We measure angles using degrees, okay? And if you just think about a clock, from 12 o'clock all the way back around to 12 o'clock would be one rotation. That's 360 degrees. So see if I can draw this well. So if this is our clock and this is 12 o'clock, if we went all the way around and back, that is 360 degrees. Okay. And then we can just divide that up to get different angles. So if you look at an angle, here's 3, here's 6, here's 9. So if we looked at when the hands are at 3 and 12, that's going to make a 90-degree angle. Okay, if you look at when they're between 1 and 6, that's going to make that whole thing be 180 degrees. Okay, if you looked at between so that's divided up into 3 parts. So there's 1 o'clock, there's 2 o'clock. That means this part, this angle right here, between those two, between 12 and 1, would be 30 degrees. Okay. And then we use a protractor to measure angles, and I have protractors here, but you just line up the vertex with the little crosshairs on the protractor. So if this is our protractor, it's that little half circle looking thing. Okay, so we'll put our vertex of our angle on the crosshairs, and then we just read where it is, and that would be our angle. Okay. Complementary angles. You do need to know this. So let's go to the next page here. All right, so complementary angles. Okay, complementary angles are the ones that add up to 90 degrees. So it's when two angles add up to 90 degrees. Okay, so another way to think about it is the measure of a complement can be found by subtracting the angles measure from 90 degrees. Okay. So that's a complementary angle. So let's look at an example with that. So example 2 says use figure 10.8 in your book. This is on page 618, so you'll need to have your book out. Page 618. You have this angle, and I'll try to draw it, but I don't know if I can. So let's see if we can draw this. It's really hard to draw straight lines with a mouse. So this is C. This is B. This is A. And we have that. And that is D. Okay, so we're told that this is 62 degrees, and we need to find out what this one is. Okay, so we want to know what angle DBC is. So this is what we call angle DBC. Okay, the middle letter is always the vertices, so that's how you know which one is which. DBC, DBC. This one right here would be DBA. Okay, so we know that DBC and DBA are complements because we can see that that is a right angle. Okay, so that's equal to 62. So if we know that this is a right angle, then these two angles have to be complements. So we just take 90 and we subtract 62 from it, and that gives us 28. Okay. And that is all we're going to do today. We're going to talk about supplemental angles and parallel lines and angle pairs tomorrow. So we're going to stop there for today. Your assignments for the practice problems you're supposed to do, those will be in Schoology. So you want to make sure you check Schoology folder for that. And yeah, that's it. All right. Have a great day.